Hey guys, so I want to talk to you today about tournaments. If this is your first tournament, then this may be a good video for you. If you're getting ready to do a tournament, if you have never done a tournament before, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of my tournament experience and how you should prepare for your first tournament. So the first part is going to be, what should you fly? And the answer to that's the simplest part of it. One thing you need to keep in mind before you go to a tournament is you're going to be locked into a build, unless it's an escalation tournament. But if it's your first tournament, it's probably not an escalation tournament. So keep in mind, find out what the tournament is, find out all the rules, if there's any special rules. If it's an epic tournament, find out the tournament rules beforehand. There are some distinctions when it comes to tournaments. You may play a mirror match. You may have to go up against somebody who's playing the same faction as you. Asteroids have to be at least one range from each other, whereas in casual play, technically they're allowed to be closer than that. So there are little variations on things like that. If you're in a mirror match and you each have the same initiative, then you have to roll. You roll 3 attack dice, and whoever gets the number of hits has the highest number of regular hits has the choice on whether they want initiative or they want to pass it to you. So there's little things like that, which hopefully, if you're playing casually, hopefully you're doing a lot of those things anyway, because I think they're good practice. But so first thing is, find out as much as you can about the tournament, all the basic information. Is it a standard 100-point tournament? Is it a 300-point, maybe, or is it a 150? Is it some kind of variation? Is it, I've heard of pirate tournaments where you can mix factions as long as you don't have anything named or unique. So there's a lot of stuff like that. The other thing is, your build. Fly whatever you're comfortable with. Keep in mind, you're probably going to have to go at least 3 or 4 rounds, depending on the number of people that are involved in the tournament. So you're going to be flying this build a lot during the day. So don't fly something that's your first time playing. Don't fly something you've never flown before. Don't fly something that you're really not sure if you like. Your best bet, especially if it's your first tournament, fly something you really enjoy, because you're going to be stuck doing it all day long. So that's the best advice I can give you on what to bring. As far as specifics, I have my own preferences, but I like stuff that has a lot of survivability. But that's just me. I like B-Wings. Truth be told, if it's a B-Wing, I want to fly it. So that's what I always love to fly. So I'm going to talk to you now about how to prep and how you should actually go to the tournament. Obviously, you want to get there either by foot, by car, or some other method, but no, let me just show you. Alright, so this is my rig, right? And I don't even have my epic ships in here anymore. I have all my bases and dials and maneuver templates, or not templates, but rather inserts. I have all of that generic kind of junky stuff, not junky stuff, but all that extra stuff goes in the top there, because this case has a really big top. One thing, if you're going to a tournament, bring Superglue. This is probably one of the most important things I can tell you. And you will hardly ever need it. But someday, somewhere, somebody's going to have a miniature that breaks, or something breaks during the course of the tournament. And you're just awesome if you have this. And you hope, especially if it's you, especially if it's something of yours that breaks, it's just a great idea to have it. I've seen it happen before. And it stinks to have to fly a base with no mini. Also, it's technically illegal, so if they want to disqualify you, they can. But so you have a whole bunch of stuff here. And one thing that's really a bummer is, in a big tournament, everybody has all their cases, and some people's stuff is bigger than mine, and that's not even all my cards. I got all my cards, in here, and so it's just a lot of stuff to lug around. So do you really want to lug all that stuff around? Well, I would say get your builds, put it into a subset, and just carry one of these around. Now he went from carrying 2 armfuls full of stuff just to one little case. This is the one I usually use for my tokens, and my damage deck and stuff goes in there. But I take it one step further. I actually have a small little Star Wars lunchbox that I use. That I put everything fits in here with the exception of my range finder, but I just pull that out separately. So what I do is I go through the night before, and I figure out what I'm going to build. I pre-build out my minis, and I put my little numbers on them, the front and back. I find the card. I sleeve them. I sleeve my cards just for taking them to the tournament, and I'll tell you why. For one, I can fit the little 14 directly in there. So I have him ready to go, and then everything that goes on him, I put like 2 upgrades per sleeve. So this guy was an A-Wing test pilot with proton rockets and Predator and outmaneuver. Really cool kind of way to fly an A-Wing. It ended up not working out too good for me, but I'll talk about that in another video. So I have everything that's going to be on this guy, right? I'll put all 3 of those, take all 3 cards, and I'll put them in there. And then in between matches, because you're going to be at different tables in a tournament, and you're going to have to collect all your stuff quick, fast, and in a hurry. And you're going to be, and you're going to be throwing it and then packing up and get ready to move to the next table. So this, having something, something small that you can just throw everything into, and that's why I use the sleeves for protection, so I can just throw them in there. It makes for a much better, transportation solution. So the other thing is I get all the tokens I'm going to need the night before, including maneuver templates, templates. I get my damage deck, I put all my dice in there, I make sure I have shield tokens. I actually set them up the night before when I'm lining everything up, make sure I have everything. He's got 2, boom. Does he have anything that's going to let him get more than 2, like a shield upgrade? No. Okay, good, he's only going to need 2. And I move on to the next ship and the next ship until I have everything. And I look at, what can he take? He can target lock, he can focus, and evade. So for every one of these guys, I need 1, 2, 3, sets of tokens. So I make sure I got my focus, I make sure I got my evade, I make sure I got a target lock for every ship. I make sure I have a stress token for every ship. You probably don't use these, but bring it too, just in case. Your opponent may request that you use them. These are just critical hit tokens. I mean, I don't know anybody who uses these in casual play. But if this guy gets a critical hit that's noteworthy, like maybe he's got a roll for something at the beginning of each turn, or all his hard turns are now red maneuvers, or whatever, it's a good idea to mark it so you don't forget and then get accused of cheating. You also need to make sure you bring ion tokens, at least a couple, because your opponent may want to ionize you. So, granted, if you're playing ions, it's a good professional courtesy to bring a whole bunch of ion tokens yourself, because your opponent might have left his out in the car. So to do that, don't forget your templates. So just do the whole thing like you're setting up to play. Make sure you've got everything you need, and get it in a little smaller, compact case. This way, when you get there, you're not taking up a whole bunch of room, because most stores, game stores, comic book stores, or any kind of venue that's going to host a tournament like this is not really going to have enough room for everybody's entire collection to be on the tables or stored somewhere. I mean, plus you run the risk of somebody else running off with your stuff. I've lost things I lost all of my a certain type of missile before, and so it's just a pain in the butt. So the less you have, the less you can lose. I like to sleeve all my upgrade cards so I don't lose anything. It makes it, I'm not going to get them confused with anybody else's. I color on the sides of my tokens. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a dark green, so they look very different from ones that are somebody else's. So I just don't want to get my stuff confused, because keep in mind, all your stuff is going to be mixed and matched with other people's stuff. And lastly, I generally try to use only 1 peg on my minis, but that's only because of my particular solution is this small little lunchbox. And I can fit my ships in there and still close the lid. You see? So I was actually just flying a whole bunch of A-Wings. And see, like boom, boom. Closes, no problem. And so there's one more thing that's really, really important that you need to bring with you to any tournament you go to. And put it in your thing. A pen or pencil. You will be so valued. Of course, this does depend a little bit on how they run everything, but usually you're going to be given a sheet. It's a good idea to print out a copy of your list, but find out how your place is going to do it. They may just have you write up your list and what you're flying, and there's always a shortage of pens, and they're always asking, hey, who's took our pens? Please return our pens. And if you brought your own, you're great. People are going to be like, hey, can I borrow your pen? Maybe bring a couple. I've brought 2 one time, and they were always in demand. So it stinks if nobody has a pen, and then you finish a round, and they're like, okay, I need to write down the score. I need to write down who won, and nobody has a pen. So definitely remember a pen. And just plan everything out the night before. Make sure you have everything. I still suggest you bring your entire collection. Bring all of your stuff, but leave it in your car, right? I mean, granted, if this is in a shady part of town, maybe you don't want to do that. So, if, it's going to be dependent. What I do is I leave my stuff in my car. So if we're playing the game and I'm like, oh, I don't have enough stress tokens, I forgot one, I can just run out and grab it. Of course, that's not what you want to do because these matches are timed. But I always have my stuff. It's also good to have all your stuff in case maybe you have a friend there and they forgot to bring one of their ships and they don't have enough, and you can loan somebody something if you want to do that. But that's up to your discretion. I think that goes a lot for being a good sport. But anyway, that's my advice for doing a tournament. I like to have my little case so I can walk in the store. I keep my thing on top and say, all right, I'm ready to go. Just like that. Instead of having to carry everything, and setup takes me only like 30 seconds. I just throw everything out there and I'm good to go. That's the best way. Because I've seen other people that show up to tournaments also show up early. I've seen people show up and then they start building their list right when the tournament was supposed to start. And it's a bummer because if they make everybody wait for that person, then everybody's stuck waiting like an extra half an hour. And that means that you're gonna be stuck there a half an hour later. So show up a little bit early. Find out how early you can show up if they let people in early to get everything set up, or But yeah, that's about it. If there's anything I didn't answer, just leave a question in the comments.